Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another special episode of Civics. I figured since it's been a couple days since the 6th and the assault on the Capitol by the white supremacists, I should probably follow up with some of the things that have been happening since then, that have been happening in the government, in the news, and whatnot that you might have questions about that are related to the class. So let's get started. The first thing that you probably have seen a lot of in the news is calls for Trump to be removed as president. And there are several different things that are happening on that front. So I wanted to talk about both of those today. The first one is the second impeachment of Donald Trump. And as of recording this, about 7 minutes ago, the House introduced their articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. And the main article is that he incited an insurrection within the Capitol, and therefore he's no longer fit to be president. So that's the articles of impeachment. So now the articles have been introduced. Um, that means the House now has a chance to read them over, and then at some point this week they're going to vote on whether or not those articles will move forward or not to the Senate where the trial will take place. Why is this important? Well, a lot of people are questioning why they should even do this, right? There's a new president is going to be in power and on the 19th, so that's in 8 days now. Why impeach him now? Why get him out of office through impeachment? Well, there's a few things that happen if Donald Trump is impeached and removed from office. The first thing is that if he's impeached, he's no longer immune to criminal investigations. There's not necessarily any real actual precedent about this, but there's a general consensus that presidents are exempt from these sorts of things, or well, they can be. Um, Nobody's put a president on trial, so um, and nobody's really put an ex-president on trial either. So the if he's impeached and removed, he is then open to litigation. Not that he isn't already. He's already in court for a lot of different things, but he'll be more open to it. He'll no longer have that status as president. The other thing that's important is all ex-presidents receive certain benefits for the rest of their lives. If he is impeached and removed, he loses those benefits. Those benefits include a sizable pension, about $250,000 a year for the rest of his life, Secret Service protection for the rest of his life, a travel budget, so he's allowed to travel on the public dime for up to like $100,000 or something like that. That's a huge travel budget, and many other things. So he gets free health insurance and all this other stuff. So all these things that he would normally get as an ex-president, he won't get anymore if he is impeached. So those are some of the reasons why um, they've seen that it's important that he is impeached and removed from office instead of him resigning. Um, Now there is another way that I talked about in the last video that he could be removed as well, and that's through the 25th Amendment. Now people have been asking Pence to do this, and he has declined to do so. He says he's still thinking about it, but his response was basically, I don't think he's, what was the way he said it? He is not unhinged enough to warrant removing him from office yet. So somehow he has not reached the level of badness that Mike Pence thinks is worthy of being removed from office. The other major thing that's going on in that realm is the fact that Trump, as the president, as the part of the executive branch, he has control over the military, which means he also has control over the United States nuclear arsenal. As he becomes more and more erratic, there's become more and more of a worry that he will use these weapons on perceived threats that he sees. In the news a couple days ago, they ensured both Congress, Mike Pence, and a few other people that there are safeguards on those weapons so that Trump can't just fire them whenever he wants. So that's good. So that part of it, that kind of scary part of that process is apparently been handled already within the military. Moving on to the next thing that's happened since the 6th, is the call to remove certain legislators from Congress and the Senate. Now, why are they calling for this? Well, not just Donald Trump was inciting these white supremacists who attack the Capitol building. There were also some senators and House members who were also egging these people on. Notable ones being Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. Hawley is from Missouri and Ted Cruz is from Texas. These two were a large part of the group of lies and deceit that they've been using to rally these people, um, talking about election irregularities that don't exist and all sorts of other things like that. So there's been a call for them to resign. However, they have said that they're not going to, right? They don't have to do anything. They don't have to resign, but a lot of people think that they should. So in case they don't resign, there is a way to remove them, and that's using the 14th Amendment. Now, technically, the House and the Senate can expel members as often or whenever they feel it's necessary. However, they usually have to have some sort of justification for this. And the justification here is going to come from the 14th Amendment. And in the 14th Amendment, there's a clause that states that anybody who incites or performs insurrection or rebellion against the United States of America can no longer hold any public office. That includes president, that includes congressman, that includes senator, that includes being a secretary in the cabinet. None of those positions are available to these people anymore as long as they're proven to be seditious against the United States. And so several different congressmen and senators have talked about invoking the 14th Amendment to expel these members who have decided to help incite this mob with Trump. The person who has been leading that push is one of the newest elected members of Congress, Cori Bush, who is a Ferguson from Ferguson, Missouri, and was a activist for Black Lives Matter. So she's been working on that for that front. So she's writing up resolutions to try to expel these members from the Senate and Congress. Will they end up resigning before that? Yet to be seen. We'll have to see what happens in the next couple weeks. Moving on, but still kind of in the same vein, there's also been a lot of calls for unity after this. So while Democrats seem to be saying we need to expel these members, there need to be consequences for these actions, a lot of Republicans are like, well, you know what, we should just unify as a country right now. And I know that this was bad, but we should just forget about it and move on. Unity is more important than this divisiveness of expelling members and stuff like that. I want to tell you this right here and right now. That is gaslighting. They are trying to make you look past the bad things that they've done and say, remember the good times? That's why we should stay. These people, though, are dangerous. What they're doing is potentially causing violence, but also allowing these conspiracy theorists, white supremacists, and all these bad people to have a platform and to be able to feel emboldened to do these things. There needs to be repercussions for these actions that these people have taken, and that's why having them removed from office is so important. It's going to show that it's going to set a precedent that says if you're going to do this kind of thing against the United States, if you're going to cause this kind of violence or foment an insurrection against us, we are going to remove you. You will not. That is a stiff penalty. It will happen. So that's one of the reasons that this is happening as well. Moving on to something completely different is the investigation that's now going to be happening into the Capitol Police. The Capitol Police is run and funded by the U.S. government, and it's the police that are specifically in charge of protecting the Capitol, the White House, and a few other places. This is an example of congressional oversight. Congress, right, has authority to investigate things that the executive branch does, and then also the things that they've created, like the Capitol Police. Chris Murphy, who's a senator from Connecticut, is the Connecticut or Pennsylvania? I think it's Pennsylvania. Regardless, he's a senator, and he's the ranking member of the committee that oversees the Capitol Police, and he is saying that he is going to be thoroughly investigating why Capitol Police officers have been shown allowing these people to rush the Capitol building, as well as taking selfies with them and other such things. Tons of different ways. You can see that, Google it, it's all out there. So clearly some of these Capitol Police members were allowing these people to do what they did, which is unacceptable. So he's going to be overseeing an investigation into the Capitol Police. The leader of the Capitol Police has already resigned, and several other people have also quit. So the Capitol Police is under heavy scrutiny right now. Now, that's not to say that all of them did a bad job. There's one man in particular who's been getting a lot of praise for what he managed to do, and this guy is Eugene Goodman. he was a Capitol police officer, or he is a Capitol police officer, and when the rioters were running into the Capitol, he managed to send them on a goose chase through the building away from the non-secured senators that were still in the Senate chambers counting electoral college votes. So he saved a lot of lives. There's a potential that if this mob did manage to make it to the Senate floor while those senators were still in there and were not secured, many people could have died. So he is being hailed as a hero in this instance because of his actions and his quick thinking. So Eugene Goodman, congratulations. Thank you for doing what you did. You saved lives. That's fantastic. So thank you for that. Two other major civics things going on still here in the aftermath of this attack. The first thing is since all this has happened, basically every social media outlet, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, anything that you can even think of as a social media outlet has blocked Trump from using their services. And many people have said that that's a violation of the First Amendment, right? The First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech. Now, there's a few reasons why what they're saying is wrong. The First Amendment is guaranteed. You do have the right to say whatever you want. However, companies don't have to give you a platform to say it. And if they deem your free speech to be dangerous, in fact, if it's maybe tied to inciting a riot, they can easily block that speech. There are repercussions to free speech. You can say whatever you want, but that does not mean that that you can get away with it, right? There are still repercussions for your actions. So I can go around and say, I could go to um, I don't know, let's say a Taylor Swift convention. We're full of people who love Taylor Swift, and if I said, "Man, Taylor Swift is the worst. She's awful," if they come back and they all yell and scream at me, I can't say it was my First Amendment right. You can't do that. They have the absolute right to scream and yell at me because right, may have the right to say that, but they also then have the right to respond and make me leave this convention, right? Same thing here. Trump can say whatever he wants, but if he's going to say it on Facebook and Twitter and he's going to use it to incite violence, then those companies have a moral obligation at this point to ban him from using that platform, which is what's happened here today. So anybody who's saying that these people, that Donald Trump is being silenced and that he's being restricted of his First Amendment rights, not true. The other major thing that Trump has available to him is he has a whole press room available in his house for the next 8 days, right? If anytime he wants to, he can go in there and start talking. The reporters will sit there and listen. That's their job. So if he wanted to do that, he could, but he isn't. He's not doing that. He wants to tweet. So for those of you who think that he's being wrongly silenced, he's not. Sorry, not how the government works. The final thing that's come to light in the last couple of days, which is kind of tied into this social media thing, is the fact that the people who did this, some of them have been arrested. That's true. They've managed to track down a bunch of these people and arrest them. However, the people who were not arrested, the people who are still out there and anonymous, we don't know who they are still planning another attack. They want to do more. This one didn't go as well as they thought. It was a little disorganized. And now they want to be more organized and make sure that they stop the wrong president from being in power. So, coming up in the next 8 days is the inauguration of President Joe Biden. And in that 8 days, there needs to be, I would say, almost a complete overhaul of the security to make sure that the people who want to do harm to this new incoming president and vice president are stopped from doing so. There's going to be a lot of important people at this inauguration, including other former presidents like Barack Obama, George Bush, and Bill Clinton. All of these people could end up being targeted for not being conservative enough or whatever, right? That's not great. So, in the next 8 days, the effort to secure this inauguration and make sure that whatever happens is safe and orderly is going to be a major concern of the government. I don't know how they're going to plan on doing that. They might end up having to use the National Guard and the military to secure this inauguration to make sure that nothing bad happens when Joe Biden makes his speech when he's inaugurated and takes his oath. So seeing how that unfolds is also going to be important moving forward. Thank you so much for watching this special episode of Civics. As it develops and there's more stuff happening, I'm sure I will come back on and explain it to you as best I can. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.